Alright, I think I'm live again. And the internet seems to be much better now, so I don't know what was going on, but resetting the router fixed it. Restart the music. Alright. Okay, so thank you everybody for putting up with that. Let's continue where I stopped. So yeah, we're going to take the cross product of the two vectors that make up this triangle, and that will give us a vector that points directly out from the plane that the triangle lies on, scaled by the area of the triangle. So we'll just add this to every normal that's associated with these 3 points. So that would be section dot normals try index plus 0 plus equals cross product. And the only thing I could see here that could go wrong is that the normals, we need to initialize them all to start at 0, I think. I mean, we could assume that they all start at 0, but that's probably not a good assumption to make. So let me go ahead and do that. 0. We have to actually create the array, so if I do that, then yeah, we can assume that they start at 0, so never mind. Is section dot number of points. Okay, so yeah, this is it. And then what we would do now is, for the borders, we would go and at least try to estimate the triangles that are on the other sections. But I think I'll wait to do that, and for now, we'll just loop through every normal. Okay, this music keeps on making me think that my internet's going out again, but no, it's just has silence in it. Section, num points. Okay, and then we just need to normalize each of these vectors. And that will automatically take the average of every triangle that this vector, or that this point is attached to. Okay, and the last thing I need to do is go into the terrain mesh and create this object. So systems, add, oops, not capital S. I guess I have to type out that. There we go. And shouldn't be any errors as far as I could tell. Webcam's a bit dark. Okay, array index out of range. Let's see what that is about. That doesn't make much sense. Why did... Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. I need to index the triangle array again to find the actual points index. I should probably, instead of indexing the array twice, cache the value. But I already used P1 and P2. Let's, I guess I'll just call it... Oh, this is getting confusing. This will be position 1. And I'll do the same thing for each of these. Okay, and then I'll have int point index 1 is this, and then I'll do the same thing for the others. Okay, so now I don't have to keep accessing that triangle array. I don't really know how much what I just did is going to optimize anything because the compiler might already know to cache those values for me, but it also does make the code a little cleaner, so I think it was worthwhile. Alright, so let's take a look. Okay, and it should look pretty much exactly the same as it did before. And it does look pretty much exactly the same. If we turn on the normal visualizer, what was it called? Tangent space visualizer. We can see all the normals, which we have way too many right now, but you can see that they're not all pointing up, which is good because that just tells us that's actually doing its job. There's like barely any variation in the terrain. I wonder, did I even just turn off the bump height? I mean in the dirt terrain, but let's yeah, I think I'll bring these back down to just one subdivision for each. Probably 0 here actually. Oops. And then yeah, the dirt is not even distorted. And the bump height, that is kind of weird. I wonder if I used the wrong value. Okay, so it's height map stretch value and then the height map bump length. This is what I was trying to find. Okay, now I guess it's still fine. It just seems like, even though this says 0.15, it doesn't actually seem like the height map bump length, like the stone is only a little bit larger, but it seems to make a much bigger difference. Let's change this back to 0. I want to see. Maybe it's just hard to tell, but yeah, it's definitely flatter, even though... Oh no, it's not. It's not flat. Maybe it has more to do with the stretch value. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that has to be it. Okay, so yeah, I was making a big deal about nothing. Okay, let's change this so that there's some distortion. Anyway, that doesn't really have anything to do with what we were doing. Okay, and I'm sorry if you can hear the garbage truck. Of course, it decided to come during my stream. It's usually pretty loud. Alright, we can see some stuff going on right here, and that's because the different points here don't agree on their normal. There's actually 4 right here because 4 different sections share this point. This one, the triangle, and then that one. And right here, there's a slight divergence because that's where the rectangle margin connects with the triangle margin. So ideally what we would do is merge all these into one. I don't know if I'll do that for sure, but I'd like it to be at least close enough so that there's not quite as much of a seam. You can't really, like, the seam is not super apparent. I mean, you can tell it's there, but it doesn't really look bad, I don't think. So I almost don't mind it, but it would... I don't know. I don't know if it's... I guess I just need to decide. Do I want to have a sharp edge on the edge of the... Well, you know what? It might be good that there's a sharp edge because that will make it more apparent, the actual hexagons. I don't know. Let's try smoothing and just see what it looks like. I mean, there'll still be a sharp edge in the geometry, obviously, but not so much in the lighting. Or maybe... I'm just thinking that maybe it's not worth it. Yeah, that's some weirdness with the shadows. Right there. It's strange that that changes even when I'm not moving the camera. Is it because of the monster? Okay, well when I do turn it off it does stop moving the shadows though. I don't know. I think it's kind of more a point of art. Well, I guess there's not really any reason to spend time on something unless I know for sure. So maybe we'll wait until we get some more final art for the tiles and see how that looks. Yeah, I guess I'll do that for now. We can always come back. So does that mean that I guess I'm done with... Oh, well, we need to finish up the collision because right now, if I try to move a monster, nothing will happen because the collision mesh is never generated, so I can't actually select a tile to move to. You can test that out. Yeah, and then I click move, and so I can't actually move anywhere. Also, yeah, I need to update these things because they, well, for one, they don't look that good and they don't use the toon shader. Alright, so anyway, I guess I've got that for now. Let's just write a note in here. Maybe try to smooth normals on terrain. Or not the right terrain. Section edges. I think that could work. If I want it. I'm just afraid that if I try to smooth it too much, that it might start to be difficult to tell where one hexagon starts and another begins. That's already, I guess, kind of an issue with flat terrain, so I might need to look into that. Let's see. So next on the, yeah, we need to do the collision mesh. So I did have some notes about that. So we need to figure out the collision triangle generator, and I think before the collision mesh used completely different points than the rest of the system. I think I'll have it use points generated here, but only the corner points, so it'll still be a much simpler mesh. But this time it will be affected by bump and also other distortions, so it will match up closer. So yeah, it needs layout and visual mesh positions. And remember, for every triangle on the collision mesh, we also need to have the block ID it's associated with. And that's because whenever we select a triangle, which is what you will raycast and find, our Unity will give you back the triangle that you hit in a mesh. Then we can tell what block it's attached to. Or associated with, I guess I should say. So we'll start with another class here, and this will be collision try generator system. And I guess let's copy or start with this. Will this need the game data? I don't know, I don't think so. It will need this triangle builder, and then it will also need a list for the block IDs. Let's say triangle owners, I think is what I called it, if I can spell it. Might as well spell it triangle as well since I did before. There we go. No, I forget. Let me look and see. I don't remember if I need to store this per point on the triangle or if it's just per triangle. Let me see. Okay, I think it is per triangle. Yeah, it gives me the triangle index and not the point index, so that makes it a little simpler. So basically, this will have one entry for every 3 entries in the triangle builder because the triangle builder contains the points in the triangle, and then this just contains the owner for each triangle. So this depends on The positions. And I guess that's it. And then we have to, oh yeah, I need to add another thing here for the collision triangles. And again, this is just kind of a hacky solution until Unity's job system and entity component system goes out of beta. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Alright, so we actually do have to do something different depending on the type of section we're dealing with. But for hexagon base, we'll just start with that. Okay, so I guess I should decide how I want to store this. Again, these triangles are local to this section, so I guess I should also store the collision triangles the same way. And then int collider try owners. To keep this more not consistent, but to have these not be so confusing, I'll write out points. And same for this. Hey Spoy, where am I getting these songs? It's from a program called Pretzel. You can actually, I think I have an extension below my, if you scroll down on my Twitch page where you can see the now playing list. This specific one is from James Flamestar. But yeah, this program, it has a good selection of music, and they guarantee that you won't be flagged for copyright on YouTube, so that's always a plus. Alright, so what I need to do here, again, I basically want to ignore the, I'm trying to say, the subdivisions for this hexagon, so I basically just want the 6 points. If I bring up the diagram, so we have something like this for the visual mesh, but the collider only wants these 6, so I guess I need to find this, the index for that point, and then I can just add whatever this number would be to the, and define each corner. Okay, so start index. Let's clean this up, and I think I have this calculate start index for ring. I guess I won't need to do this because I won't need to have it as a separate function. I'll just need to add everything up. Okay, so start index, and in this point arrange data, it gives us the size of each ring in the hexagon, so we just need to go until the very last one. So I think the point arranged data 0 is a number of rings, so that should be right. Okay, so for instance, for this hexagon, which has 4 rings, it would be 1, 6, 12, and then 18. So it would give us 1, 7, 19, which is right there. Okay, so that's At least theoretically, that's right. So how would I find... Well, I guess I would just use the size of the very last value in here and divide that by 6, and that would give us offset to each corner. So corner increment is section point arrange data section point arrange data 0. So this is the last. I forget. Okay, well, we'll just figure this out. So if we have 4 rings, which is right here, then I want. Okay, so yeah, I plus 1 has the ith rings length, so I want, so for 4th ring I want the 5th, and then this has 4 rings, so I actually need to add one, I think. I might have did that wrong in my head, but it'll be easy to fix. Okay, so anyway, so we need to add a certain number of triangles. 0, or let's do this. Actually, there's a really, you can kind of save some triangles. Like the easiest way would be to have 6 triangles, but for a hexagon you can actually get away with 4. You could go 1 triangle like that, like that, like that, and then like that. So I guess we'll do that. There's no reason not to for the collision mesh. Well, actually, if I did that, that wouldn't, there might be a gap, right? Well, no, because these lines have to be the same. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Anyway, so try equals 0, and then try less than 4. So what I need to do is add these indexes to the triangle builder. So it'd be start index plus try. Okay, and again, I'm just gonna do plus 0 to kind of keep all these lines looking the same, even though of course that's redundant. And then this will be plus 1 and plus 2, and for this last one I have to again loop around by 6 so that if try plus 2 equals 6, it will return to 0. And that's what this modulo operator does. And then the triangle owner, I guess I do need at least the board, because this is supposed to give us, well no, I just need to give the board index for this block, which I can get from this section. Let's see. Owner is, oh, but you do need the board. Okay. This battle class just has all of the current state of the game board, basically. Okay, so what is it? The trunk section to world. I want the index. And so I can pass the section. Oh, okay, I already has the board index, I guess. So never mind. Section dot board index. All right, I think that's it. So now I just need to create the collision mesh generator system that actually creates the collision mesh. And it'll basically be exactly the same as a visual mesh, except it won't care about a lot of these various data fields. Well, we'll need the vertex, obviously, but I won't need the normal or the triangle or blend. But I guess it will have this vector 3 for the owners. Yeah, let's rename that. Now that I think about it, I should probably... Well, okay. If the triangle builder just uses the normal points for the rest of the system, let me see. Okay, so the collision mesh might be a little bit more in depth than I thought. Basically, I'm going to need a map from local to global, or let's say section to chunk, which will map a triangle or a point index from the section system or section space, I guess, to the chunk space. And the reason that it's a little bit more complicated in this than it was in the visible mesh is because in the visible mesh, all I had to do was keep track of the number of points that had already been created and then just offset every section space index by that number. But in the collision mesh, we actually don't use every point, so I'm not going to add every point to the mesh, so the values here are not just a simple offset. I hope that makes sense. I think when I'm programming it, it'll become easier to understand. Okay, so do we already have the collision mesh? No. Okay, and then S collider mesh. And I guess I need to have these values as well. I think I'm renaming these to collider instead of collision just because it makes a bit more sense to me. Do I need to create this list already? I don't know. Why not? Although I guess the game could make this an array, but... yeah, that's fine. Okay, so... collider mesh, if it's waiting, then it needs to look through. And so we have to wait until the collider triangles are done, and that's about it. Okay, so this should be collider mesh, and it's fine. We don't set anything there. We just add the chunk, triangle owners is owner builder to array. So not like about that, cannot convert. Oh yeah, the owners is just an int, not a vertex. Or vector 3, I should say. Okay, this is a little, oops, out of order. Okay, so what else do I not need here? I don't need the texture index or the blend color. I don't really need to get the terrain. I do need add section, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this because it's going to be quite a bit different. Alright, so first we'll clear the chunk. I guess I'll clear it at the end, so section to chunk clear. So I should just loop through every triangle when I find a point. If it's in this hash or dictionary, then the point's already been added, so I don't have to do it. But if it's not in this dictionary, then I need to add that point to the list, or yeah, to the vertex builder. So for int try equals section. Should I go? I think I'll just go by point actually. So for each try point equals 0. Less than section collider triangle points length. And right, so now I just need to do what I just said. So this will be the, I guess, chunk try index. Okay, so if section to chunk, try point, and then out. Oh, I need to actually call a method here. So this should be try get value. And if there is no value, this will return false. And at that point, we need to create a new vertex. So vertex builder add section positions try point. And then in section to chunk. Oh wait, no. Well, I guess, yeah, we will add it to the hash, but first we need to give the index of this position that we just added, and that would be vertex builder count -1. And then section to chunk will set the current try position to this new value I just created. Alright, so that's good. And now in the triangle builder, we just add in the chunk triangle point. Okay, and I think for like the triangle owners, it's really simple. I can just add range section collider triangle owners, and that's all I have to do there because we're adding every triangle, like we're not skipping triangles, and then so they stay in the same order, so I don't really have to do anything special for that. Okay, well that wasn't as complicated as I thought it might be. I guess we have to check to make sure that that code actually works, but So now the terrain mesh will add in the 2 new systems I just created. Oh, let's do that thing again. Systems, add new collider. Why is it not showing up? Oh, because I called it collision instead of collider. Let's just rename it while I'm here. Oh, that's the old one, so I don't care about that. Alright, so yeah, back to here. And this just needs that, and the battle. Collider, mesh. And I think this needs everything, although I don't know if it actually does. Let me go check. Like it calls for them all, but I don't think it actually uses any of that. Okay, yeah, we're good. Alright, so let's see. Hopefully nothing goes horribly wrong. Okay, well, no errors. That's a good sign. Take a look at the collider. Okay, well, I was gonna say, why is it not showing up? But obviously something is wrong with the mesh. It doesn't look like it's actually getting set. You know what? I think I have it so that this always returns null. I think I can get rid of that now. Alright, so I think that will take care of that. Okay, even though it's still null. What's going on? Maybe... Oh, you know what? I think that the terrain mesh system itself doesn't wait for the collider to finish. I guess that might cause this? I don't know. So S collider mesh does not equal complete. Okay, it's still null. That's a little weird. I guess I could check to make sure what's in the chunk thing. So we have the... Oh, so it says it has 0 points and 0 owners. And that the collider is idle. Maybe I need to... Oh, I think that's the issue in the section generator. Yeah, I don't think anything ever sets those jobs to run. Yeah, which is another reason I want the new Unity system. It's supposed to come out this month, and it can't come too soon, in my opinion. So we have that, and then also wherever the chunks are created, which I think is in the terrain mesh itself, it needs to set the collider mesh state to waiting. Okay, so now it actually ran and there was an error. Triangle gen system, okay. Okay, well, let's look and see what's actually in that array. Okay, so this only has one ring because it has... Wait. Oh, this is a margin on a hex. Yeah, so I want to look at this one because that's a hex face. Yeah, so it has 3 rings. So this would give 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I actually don't need to add ones. So yeah, I thought that I messed up that math in my head. Okay, reference not set to an instance. Probably I didn't create those arrays or something. Collider try points. This is at the mesh gen system. Did I not set that maybe? Oh yeah, I don't. So this should be section dot... Oh, and I actually overwrite the normal triangles. That's bad. Try points, and then collider try owners. Okay, let's try one more time. Oh, thank goodness my internet seemed to have stabilized. I haven't dropped any frames since I restarted. Okay, well that's unexpected. Somehow what I did broke the visible terrain generation, so there is a mesh. And it's... looks good. Is there a mesh here? Okay, it's not set. What did I do wrong? Still runs. And this ran perfectly fine before I added in the collider. Doesn't even touch the visual mesh. Let me inspect the terrain state. Let's see if I can figure out what's going on. First let's look and see how this looks. So yeah, just well, I mean, I can't really tell just by looking at the numbers, but so 3 by It looks like it has 4 triangles because 3 times 4 is 12, so at least that's right. And yeah, it's saying that the first hexagon is the owner. Oh yeah, so it says it has no visual mesh. And it says the visual mesh is still waiting. Let me see, I must have gotten the code wrong somewhere then. Oh, this should be or. Yeah, because if neither is complete, all complete is false. So yeah, wrong Boolean logic there. So I think what was happening is that the collider mesh, since it's a lot simpler, finished first before the graphics mesh, and then the game just never completed the graphics mesh because it said the whole thing was done. Alright, so now we have the actual visual. Terrain is back. And okay, well that is wrong. It's extremely wrong. Trying to find a pattern here. I must have... I bet that I have the wrong start index. Not that, this one. Well, it could be two things. Either this is wrong or... this code is wrong. But this is pretty standard, so I'd be more inclined here. Maybe I don't need to subtract one. Yeah, that was the issue because, as we found here, this gives us the number of rings. Let's make this a little bit more obvious. Okay. Alright. So yeah, I didn't get an overflow exception at least. That doesn't actually look any different. So what I'm expecting is... it's kind of hard to see. But there should be a triangle that goes like that, and then like that, and then like that. But it seems to, like, somehow it gets onto index 0 here. I don't really know how. Oh, well, one thing is this, I forgot to divide by 6. Is that the issue? Wouldn't I have gotten a overflow, like an out of bounds? I don't know, let's see. Debug log. And we'll do string format. So number of rings, start, and a corner increment. Maybe I'll be able to see some pattern here. I guess actually the debug for each of these is going to be the same because it's the same for all hexagon faces, but... Actually interesting in terms of... Like, I think I noted this before, but like the triangle is actually the same for every section, or the triangle array is the same for every section type. I don't know, did I? I think I wrote a log somewhere. Yeah. Each section type has the same triangle array, so we could share them. That would speed up time and save memory, but I don't do that yet. Okay, so there's 3 rings which we know start as 19. That's wrong. It should start at 7. Okay, so yeah, it is back to that. And the corner increment... back here. Yeah, it's 2, so that's right at least. Okay, so yeah, start 7, increment 2. It seems like it's right, so if it's still messed up, then it must be... Okay, so I don't think it's the triangle builder, it must be the mesh builder. Oh yeah. So let's try and match the numbers here just to make sure. Okay, Inkscape did not like that at all. There we go. Okay, so 7, 9, 11 is right. Then 9, 11, 13. Okay, that's wrong actually. Each one needs to start with 7. So I think I did the... Obviously I did the logic incorrectly. So it seems like everyone starts with just the start index. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. Like, and it just the last 2 walk around. Yeah, so +1, +2, +2, +3, 3, 4, and 4, 5. And I actually don't need to loop either. Yeah, because the most it ever gets to is 3 + 2, which is 5. So, I don't know. Guess I kind of spaced out when I wrote that. So I doubt that would fix all the issues. No matter what I do, it doesn't seem to make any difference. But let's at least theoretically make sure this is correct. So 7, 9, 11, 7, 11, 13, 7, 13, 15, and 7, 15, 17. So I think that should be right. So obviously the issue is somewhere in here. Wait, just add points as needed. I What could be going wrong here? I add it back in here. So it's not like I forgot to do that like I do so often. Is this wrong? Well, okay, so let's take for example if the list is empty, then we add this to position 0. So, but vertex builder count gives us 1, minus 1 gives us 0, which is the position of this, so I think that's fine. And the try point... Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay, let's change this to the triangle index. It's again the issue, I need to get the real point from by indexing the triangle array. Okay, so let's do the section point is section dot collider try points triangle index. Okay, anyway, let's just rename this to the chunk point. It doesn't have anything to do with a triangle anymore, actually. And I'll just change this to... Okay, so now we need to use the section point instead of the try point for all this. Yeah, that was... okay. Just didn't think that through. Yeah, because what I did before, I was just using the loop variable, so obviously it always just changed by 1 and it never would use the cache value from the dictionary, so... Okay, there we go, that fixed it. So now we have the collisions, and it looks fine. And now they kind of deform with the mesh. Like before they were just flat. I mean, it's still not perfect, obviously, but... should be okay. I mean, if it's ever really an issue, we can change it so that it, again, does a 6 point or 6 colliders, but I don't know if it really matters that much. So obviously we don't do the margins yet. But let's see if I can actually move the monster. Okay, it did work. And... okay, and the triangle owners seems to be logical. Okay. So now I'll see if I can quickly do the margins. So for the rect margin, we just need to stop about halfway down the margin, which I think we can use the same points again, but let me see. Alright, so for example, we need to find this point and that point, and then we'll just use 4 triangles for the collision. And these 2 triangles will be tied to this hexagon, where these 2 triangles will be tied to this hexagon as the owner. And that's why they have to be... we can't just go all the way across. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so this is going to be a little annoying to do because it depends, this middle row depends on the number of total subdivisions there are. Okay, so when it's one subdivision, that means there's 3 rows total. So we want row index 1. So that'd be 2R3 divided by 2, so that works okay. Now what about if there's one subdivision, that means there's 5 rows total. So 5 divided by 2 would give us 2, which is right actually. This is 0, 1, 2, okay. Now if I have 3 subdivisions, then we can just add 2 more rows, so that'd be 7. And then we'd want row 0, 1, 2, 3. So 7 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so that is kind of simple. Okay, so num point rows is section dot arrange point data, and I forget, I think this actually gives a number of even rows. If I can find what I actually want. Oh no, it is actually the total number of point rows. Is that right? I thought I changed it. I don't even use it here actually. That's a triangle. Yeah, that's just the number of even rows. Yeah, so it's bad that I didn't update this when I changed that, but number of even point rows, and by even I just mean even index, because even and odds are slightly different, you can tell. So, okay. Let's see if we can use that. So I think we could that actually makes it easier, because the middle row is actually just the same number as the number of even rows. Because yeah, for one subdivision that means there'd be 2 even rows, which would give us... Oh, no, that's not right. That would give us 0, 1, 2. So would it be just the number minus 1? So this would give us 3, and we'd want 0, 1, 2. Yeah, so I think we could just use the even rows minus 1, maybe. I'll need to test it out. That seems to be correct. Okay, so we want... Okay, so this is equal to total number of rows divided by 2. I'll just say int division because we ignore the remainder. Oh, I like your hair, Ice Boy. Although it's not that it covers up your name. I'll have to see if I can fix that. Let me see. What else? So I guess I just need this point. Well, I need each corner point, and then these 2 points for the middle. So I guess I just need the start index for this row, which is 0. Start index for the middle row. Start index for the far row. Okay, so int start near row is 0. Mid row is... Okay. To do that, I need to know the number of points in each row. This is by definition points in the even row plus 1. Start mid row. Yeah, this depends on if the mid row is odd or even. Okay, so how did I figure it out here? Oh, I just loop through everyone and see if it's odd or even. Okay, well start far row is kind of easy because it's an even row as well, so that would just be the section total points minus the number of points, excuse me, in an even row. Is that right? Yes, the number of points would actually give us something here, and so that we'd subtract 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's right. And the start mid row depends on if the mid row is odd or even. So if it's even, then basically modulo just gives us the remainder. So if mid row divided by 2, the remainder is 0, then that means it's even. Why is it not like that? Because it says it's never used. That's true. And the start mid row is just... Oh, this should be even. Number of points in the even row times... we have to know how many mid rows or even rows were in this. So this would be... That'd be mid row divided by 2. Okay. I know this is gonna have math problems in it. And then plus number of points in the odd row times the number of odd rows before the mid row, which is mid row divided by 2. I think that's right. And actually, is this any different for odd and even? Let's just go through. So if mid row is 1, then that means we just want this. So that would be mid row divided by 2, which will give us nothing, so we'd have to add 1. So I guess it is a little different, huh? Do I have an origin account? Yeah, I do. Whenever I have a chance to look up Dead in Bermuda, it's a pretty good game. Oh, okay, I've never heard of that. I'll have to see. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so if mid row again is 0, well that will never happen. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm not gonna worry about that. If it's 1, then it would go here. And so we want this to be the number of points in even row, and that's it. So it'd be 1 divided by 2, which is 0 plus 1. And then 1 divided by 2 is 0. So that's fine. And then for 2, it would go in here. So that would be... We want this to be this times 1 plus this times 1. Yeah, so I think that's correct. Okay, so let's see, for 3, we want it to be this times 2, and this times 1. So 3 divided by 2 is 1 plus 1. And 3 divided by 2 is 1, so that's correct. And then 4, we want this times 2 and this times 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2 minus 1. That's not right. Oh wait, did I do that right? Yeah, because 4 we have the 0, row 0 and row 2. Maybe... Wait, for 2 we actually had row 0, so... Yeah, I think this is... We just don't want to add anything, so that's fine. Okay, so let me try that again. So for 1, we know is right. 2, we want 1 here and 1 here, so it's the same thing. And then for 3, we know that's right. And then 4, we want 2 and 2. Okay, so I think this is fine. I could... Okay, let's see. So odd add 1 is the same as mid-row mod 2. So again, if it's even, this will be 0. If it's odd, this will be 1. So I can just combine these formulas like this. I don't know if that is actually much less readable, but... You believe that's on the house, you've got it free. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do get some of their free games, but I haven't checked this month. Okay, so I think this is correct. Okay, and then we just need to get the size of the mid row, so size, or let's see, num points, mid row is again, we'll just see if it's even or not. We could simplify this even more, but because we could just do num points an even row plus mid row modulo 2, but I don't know, I think that's getting a bit too difficult to read. Okay, so now I just need to add the 4 triangles. Let's create a function. Private void add triangle. I've done this before. That way I don't have to keep on copying this over and over. Alright, and now I can change this to just add triangle. Alright, so that changes 4 lines to 1 line, so I like that. And now we'll just add 4 triangles, and so I need to make sure that they're wound clockwise again. So if I start here, I'd start on the near row, and then the mid row, and then go over here. So start near row, then start mid row, start near row, plus the num on an even row. And then the owner is Do I need to subtract this by 1? I think so, because I actually want the last thing, so... And then the owner is section board index. As the near row is for the originating hexagon for this section. Okay, and the second triangle would go like this, so... Okay, so start mid-row, and then start mid-row plus number of points on the mid-row minus 1. Alright, and then the last two are similar except go like that, so the mid-row to the far row. Let's see. Oops, went too far. And this is start mid-row. Okay, and then this one is the neighbor's board index because it's past the halfway point. Go ahead and add that there. And then the last triangle is this one. Okay, and this is number of points in an even row, minus 1. Okay, so hopefully I got these variable names correct and the math correct, because I'm actually running out of time, so let's just see what happens when I play. Okay, well, no error. That's always a good sign. Oh wow, it's actually almost fine. We're missing. So one of the triangles is wrong. We have a crisscross right there. Okay, this one is wrong. This should be start mid-row. Yeah, I think... Is that really all that... Maybe that's all the problem was. Okay, there we go. I don't see any issues, so let's try to move, and I'll click on the margin this time instead of the hexagon. Okay, so it did take it. Alright. I did forget to check the collider on slopes, but I don't see anything wrong there. Okay, so now I just need to do the triangles, and they would be pretty simple. I just need to go to the center of the triangle, and then... Yeah, we actually need six triangles here, which is kind of a lot, but... Yeah, we just need one that goes like that, one that goes around like this, and one that goes around like that. But yeah, then we'll finally be finished upgrading the terrain. And I might come back and smooth the corners, but I don't know. To me it kind of looks good as it is, even if there is kind of an edge on the border with the slopes. it kind of just helps delineate the changing altitudes. The only thing I don't like is this, and I don't know if that's because of the normal. I think it's just the shadows. If I change the light, where is the light? Here. You can actually see that shadow in the editor. Okay, yeah, I think it just has to do with the light casting a weird shadow. I guess I could make it so the terrain doesn't cast shadows if it's that big of an issue, but I don't know. It's probably just bad luck about being at that specific angle, although it does seem to kind of stick around. I don't know, I might have to look into a way to fix that. But yeah, that looks bad too, actually. But anyway, yeah, we'll just need to update try margins. And yeah, so we can see here I've started kind of getting together a roadmap to what I'm going to call Beta 1, which will be when I finally release the game in beta and make it downloadable so that people can start writing their own mods. And there's still quite a bit to do, but we have most of the main systems complete. It's just I need to actually make the game pretty playable and have, like, I need to do a lot of work on the interface, which I haven't even written out here because it's pretty much a blank slate. I want to get just a minimum amount of content in the terrain. I probably won't even make another monster, but unless I just feel like doing some modeling, so we'll see about that. But yeah, we'll be working towards this. And I think that's about it. But I've got to get going because I'm pretty hungry and I need to go eat lunch. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming by. I'm glad to see got quite a bit of little avatars walking around, so that's makes me happy. But I'm glad to see that you guys are having fun with that. And again, thanks everybody for putting up with my bad internet earlier. I'm glad it's fixed itself and hopefully it won't be an issue tomorrow. But I should be back around noon Eastern. And if you want to be notified when I go live, feel free to follow me here on Twitch or on my Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel where I post all old streams if you'd like to catch up on anything, and a Discord server if you want to chat with me throughout the day. That'd be great to see. I think that's about it. I'll put links in the chat. And yeah, I'm glad that you could make it Ice Boy, and like I said, I hope that I'll be able to start streaming later so it won't conflict with your schedule as much. But yeah, I hope you have a great spring break. And I hope you all have a great day, so I'll see you later. Bye-bye.